stumbling on the war path? That's the focus of tonight's angle. Now, over a month ago, President Biden assured a very war-weary nation that putting troops in or around Ukraine was not on the table. Well, now it looks like that's right up there with the other promises he made, like if you get vaxxed, you can go back to normal, and just 100 days of masking. Just hours ago, the Pentagon put 8,500 troops on high alert for possible deployment to Eastern Europe. Now, anyone paying attention to Biden's presser last week heard the sounds of the war drums beating. The media desperately wants to get off the raging crime, raging COVID, raging inflation story that's driven Biden to another new low in the polls today. Harvard-Harris has him at a pathetic 39%. So Ukraine has to be their new shiny object.
Tensions with Russia over what could be an imminent invasion of Ukraine are escalating.
There's a path of diplomacy and dialogue, but there's also a path of its renewed aggression and massive consequences that we have been building now for many weeks.
We should be arming the Ukrainians like crazy. We should be preparing for guerrilla warfare if the Russians go in.
Guerrilla warfare. Now, it's ironic and laughable that the American press corps is now kvetching about Russia because no group has done more to weaken the U.S. and strengthen Vladimir Putin. Let's look at the record. First, Putin doesn't have to spread anti-American propaganda because our media does it for him. For the last 6 years, the U.S. press has told the world that Americans are evil racists who are destroying the planet.
1 in 3 Americans are racist. I think the idea of appealing to white resentment and white fears, drawing on a particular understanding of America as fundamentally white.
In making this country, there was a lot of pain. There was a lot of killing and murder and genocide.
Now, the editors of Pravda couldn't have done much better, and we can't forget the profoundly damaging and destabilizing effect of the whole Russia hoax, which, of course, the media spread with glee.
Donald Trump is a Russian operative.
The 101 contacts between Trump's team and Russia-linked operatives.
Why can't President Trump condemn Russian election interference with the same vociferous?
Russia hacked our election. That was a 9/11 scale event.
Putin doesn't even need to spend money crippling Washington, D.C. when our own press corps does it for free. Second, the media has helped Putin by supporting policies to increase the price of oil and gas. Now, most Americans understand that cheap energy is bad for Russia, but the media doesn't want Americans to have cheap energy. They've done everything possible to stop drilling and to smear the fracking revolution that promised energy independence. Soaring energy prices are helping Putin buy more weapons. Third, the media have undermined our military readiness. Now, for years, we suffered disaster after disaster in Afghanistan, capped by the utter failure to successfully end that war. Now, rather than demand changes at the Pentagon after all that, our media protected Defense Secretary Austin and General Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs. The media wants the Pentagon led by people who believe that being woke is more important than killing our enemies. For months, we've shown you examples of how hard-left ideology is weakening our military by lowering standards, wasting money, and simply protecting incompetent leaders. Of course, Putin doesn't fear our military. He knows that diversity is no match for excellence. Fourth, the media have helped increase our dependency on China. Last week, at the same press conference where the media complained over and over about Russia, a reporter from the Wall Street Journal urged Biden to lift the tariffs on China. My Lord, how much more do these people want at this point? Just in the first 11 months of 2021, we bought almost $457 billion worth of goods from China, but apparently that's not enough. Now, for years, elites in both parties have attacked anyone who questions using tariffs or any other policy to move supply chains out of China.
You mentioned China. Do you think the time has come to begin lifting some of the tariffs on Chinese imports? Or is there a need for China to make due on some of its commitments in the Phase 1 agreement?
Indeed, Americans should know that a bipartisan group of senators actually wants more Chinese solar panels to be sold in the U.S. So both destroying our oil and gas sector and giving the Chinese an edge on green power. That's great. Fifth, the media have attacked countries that might have helped us with Ukraine. They were and are vehemently opposed, after all, to Brexit because the media are slavishly devoted to the EU. In fact, our media regularly trashes anyone in Europe, from Polish leaders to French nationalists, who dare to criticize the EU. Instead, what they usually do, the press, is stand with Germany, which itself is dependent on natural gas from Russia. They also want the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, and they actually oppose sending weapons to Ukraine. In fact, sharing German-made weapons with the Ukrainians is out of the question, we've been told. The UK is even careful now to avoid German airspace when it ships weapons to Ukraine itself. So it's easy to see that the more reliant we are on Germany, the more it helps Putin. Now, finally, for the last 2 years, our media has done everything possible to promote chaos here in the United States. During the summer of 2020, come on, they cheered for the rioters. Rioters who ended up burning and looting cities across America. They support DAs who don't prosecute crimes. They downplayed the threat from inflation that caused real wages to fall. And they protected their hero and mascot, Dr. Anthony Fauci, who'd still have us in lockdown if he could. How is it, by the way, that a country that can't send its kids to school is going to somehow promote freedom abroad? How can a country that refuses to enforce its own borders also expect its citizens to cheer enforcing another country's border? It just doesn't work that way. The truth is, the Democratic Party's worldview, which has been fully adopted by the scribblers and talking heads, is fatally flawed. For decades, they thought by weakening America, they could promote justice. Instead, the real winners from their successes have been Putin and Xi. America cannot and must not dilute the strength she has left on another hopeless crusade urged on by the same people who screwed up in Afghanistan. Our real threat, militarily and economically, is the CCP, which loves it when we squander our resources on pointless foreign ventures and quagmires. Makes them thrilled. Of course, the CCP can always count on the America haters, though, to downplay the threat they pose. 2 days ago, the New York Times published what can only be described as a fawning personal tribute to President Xi. With the games only days away, China has delivered, well, China no longer needs to prove its standing on the world stage. Instead, it wants to proclaim the sweeping vision of a more prosperous, more confident nation under Mr. Xi, the country's most powerful leader since Mao Zedong. Wow. But that's nothing compared to the slobbering praise the CCP gets from our very own elites.
Since the onset of the pandemic, China has worked hard to not only contain the virus, but also contributed to closing the equity gap by supporting other countries with many different supplies, including great vaccines. I look forward to once again being able to travel to China to see all of you and this work in person.
It is shameful. Now, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell has a lot of war hawks in his Senate caucus, including himself. But if he wants to avoid being thrown out by another populist uprising in 2024, he needs to resist the war machine's temptation. Now, this may be wishful thinking, but he ought to make it very clear to Biden that the GOP does not support sending our troops to Eastern Europe. Let all the folks who think we're fundamentally racist, who think our military is filled with extremists, let them own this. We have enough failed war baggage in the GOP. And for the rest of us, we have to focus on finding leaders in both parties who can build this country up instead of always tearing her down. And that's the angle.